fourth one available, but that offers a tracker. Would you still like to go with it? So this is, you hyper-personalize it, you embed it with the lifestyle, and you retro-train all your internal staff to become, lack of a better expression, you want to call them a data scientist or you want to call them financial engineers. So this is how I see this story being panning out. I don't know if I would live to see this happen, but at least in my personal opinion, this is how I see things.
I think it's going to happen sooner than we expect. So thank you very much for explaining that. That was very insightful. So I've got a few questions, but my marketing folks are saying that we're out of time. So we'll maybe just take a couple of questions from the audience. If there are any questions? No, we cannot. One question. Yeah, please. Can we have the mic over there?
Assalamualaikum everyone. This is Mehak from HBL. My question to the jury member is that how AI help auditing field? How we can embed AI tools for a conventional audit?
Great. So thank you very much for that question. One of you would like to take that. So how can we use AI for internal audit? And I think as CIOs, audit is something that you face.
I would prefer if audit goes away because of AI.
Is she also from your team?
She's from HBL.
No, I know, but for now. I mean virtually. So the way I think, I'm not an audit expert, so I will not claim that to be an expert in that field. But if you look at it, a lot of synthetic data that we have in the banking. So I'll give you an analogy that I've worked in my previous life. So fraud and forgery, we touched upon it, right? So if I take a sample of signatures, I take a sample of checks which is in circulation, and I feed them into a large language model, and I train that model to say that, okay, and I take my signature card, which is in every bank, and I feed all of this, and the cross section is that when a customer named, so let's say me, Faisal Anwar, writes or makes his signature, the pressure on the nib is roughly that much. The data points which you can relate to using a vector is that the nib flow is always like this. So if you pass off all of this data point and you start auditing, you would be able to very decently pick with a decent percentage, depending on the model maturity, that whether that check is being signed by the real person or it's a person who is impersonating Faisal and signing on behalf. Why? Wow. Because flow of the signature, the dots that connect, which creates that impression, plus the vectors that you have made there. So that's one context that it can help auditing. Then you have other mechanisms, like you will start picking up those data points, start feeding back into it. So it's about first building a knowledge repository and then backfeeding the real data into this knowledge repository and finding out the false positives around it. Once that part is done, you have to knock off the noise out of it. I really don't want to go down a lot on this path because otherwise we'll be here for the rest of the evening. So you need to make sure that you model train so that it does not hallucinate. You model train so that it is not jailbreakable. You put the guardrails around the model so that the questions that is being asked, every time when they are being asked, are being responded in the same manner. So for example, if I ask a question, can I go home? And I'm just making it simple, every time it should respond that, oh, Monday to Thursday, you can go home at 5:30. It should not happen the third time when I ask, oh, can I go a bit early today? So they said, no, today office timing is 1 to 4. So that is consistency and transparency and accuracy of that model, that you govern that model to an extent that every time you ask the same question slightly differently, the output should remain the same. So I hope that I've tried to answer the question. Again, with this disclaimer that I'm not an audit expert.
I think those were very, very relevant questions. So I'm sure we have a lot more to discuss, but unfortunately we've run out of time. So gentlemen, thank you very much for your presence. Thank you for your time. Really good to have you here. Thank you. Thank you, AJ. Thank you. Thank you, Faisal. Please.
Sorry, gentlemen, could we have you back on stage? I'm so sorry. We would like to give our panelists mementos and tokens of appreciation for joining us for this panel session. I'm sorry, I know you walked away, but we'd like to have you back on stage, including, of course, Asif Akram and Asif Peer on stage as well. Thank you. And of course, Amara, thank you so much. And yeah, let's bring on the shields, everyone.
Please. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much to the wonderful panelists. Thank you very much to everyone on stage. Now moving on to our next session. Thank you, Mohammed Ilyas, for doing a wonderful, wonderful session. It was great. And now moving on to the next leap in banking AI. As an era of agentic AI unfolds, banks are moving beyond automation towards intelligent self-learning systems that anticipate needs and act in real time. And to take this session forward, we'd like to call on stage Regional Partner Solutions Sales Manager Ali Adil to join us on stage, please. Thank you.
Hello. Yes, all good. Hi, everyone. It's a bit loud, but it's okay. Good. My name's Ali. I'm originally from Pakistan, but I'm based in Estonia working for Microsoft. So before we start, I would like to have it something interactive, because I think everybody's in their phones and looking at the screens and trying to talk with difference. So let's raise hands if in your company you're looking for an AI transformation. Okay. Let's raise hands if you know how to do that. See, so that's what we need. So the goal of today's presentation is to give you the guidelines as Microsoft and give you some examples from the Western world, how other banks are doing it and how you should be adopting AI within your organization as bank. So let's talk about key challenges. 91% of the banking customers expect quality service, but me being from Pakistan, I know that that is a bit something of a commodity at the moment in Pakistan. A lot of CIOs, CTOs want to indulge AI, but there is a lot of issues with Hello? Yes, I'm back. Good. So all the CTO, CIOs that I have talked to with the banks, with our visit, with our delegation in Pakistan, everybody wants to have the AI innovation, but there's a lot of issues with data, where to start, how the productivity looks like. There was a question about audit. There was a lot of talk about from CIOs that AI would change the world. But there has to be a proper way of doing it, right? How, as Microsoft, as a vendor, as a tech leader, we see how the banking sector should be adopting to the AI adoption. This is not working. No. I would skip this. I have 15 minutes. So in Microsoft, we say you have to become the frontier of the banking technology. What does it mean? As a banking sector, as banks, you have the responsibility to make sure that your customers are getting the best service, they're getting the best technology, and the feasibility of the AI that everybody's talking about. How you are able to do that? There are basically 4 pillars of the banking sector, how you are able to indulge AI into this. So we start with enriching employees' experience. So let's start with something very small. Let's make everyday tasks for your employees be more productive. So let's take an example of Copilot. We have introduced Copilot for Office 365, which is helping millions of users across the world to be able to be more productive, answer emails faster, look for the knowledge base, and so on. So this is one aspect of where you are able to improve the productivity. Because productive employees give better customer service, so it's all connected. Now, if we talk about reinvent customer engagement, we don't have to reinvent the wheel, but we have to be able to have the analytics of your customer's behavior. So let's say as a bank you have a call center, you have to know exactly when your customers are calling, why they are calling, who they are talking to, what are the issues, and how you are able to tackle that. How does AI play a part on it? Let's take an example of voice agents. Let's take example of automations. Let's take example of AI assistants which are able to assist your team to be able to be more better in answering the questions. So let's say I call the bank. In your digital call center, you already know what the customer had before and what could be the possible concern that they have. Maybe their card is not working and so on. So that saves you time. Now, reshaping business processes, of course, we were talking about with the CIOs about the fraud analysis and detection. It plays a very big role in terms of detecting it. If it's a human being, it will take, I don't know, zillion years to be able to make it more productive. But with AI, you are able to do the machine learning, give them the checks, as the CIO of, I don't remember the bank name, but he was talking about. So we have to be able to start very small into getting the processes done. Now, bending the curve on innovation is one aspect, but what is most important is that you need to have a secure and compliant foundation and a platform which is able to give you the access so you are very much capable of not having cyber attacks and able to manage them. Now, there are a few examples of the banks. I will go a bit later into that. If you talk about Microsoft, how you are able to do this. So we have simplified all of our solutions into pretty much 3 pillars. So when you're talking about enriching employees' experience, you go into your AI business solutions where your modern work is, where is your Copilot, Copilot Studio, Power Platforms, automations and stuff. Then if you talk about reshaping the business, you've got cloud and AI platforms where you've got amazing platforms such as Fabric where you are able to get real-time intelligence. And last but not the least is the security aspect. So after all the meetings that we had with all the banks, what I realized is this, that there is a very big misconception of data, which data needs to be within the country and which data can be on the cloud. So if we talk about reshaping the business processes, think about you are a bank who has over 600 branches and you need to make data-driven decisions. How would you do that? So let's say you want to talk about operations. You want to know in your banks what time, what people are coming, what transactions are being done, how many checks are being processed, how much time does it take, how much cash is taken, and then when you have the data given to the machine learning, it can predict for you based on the last 10 years experience of it, of your customer behavior, and say when they will be able to, when the customer would come into the bank and how much cash is needed, when they should be open, automated scheduling and things like that. So these are the basic things. How you should be doing that, I think this is one of the most important slide. You should phase it out. So let's say on phase 1, start small. Start with, let's say, AI assistant that helps your employees work better. So you're improving the productivity. Phase 2, you go into human-led agents. So let's say Copilot agents where you are able to retrieve the information, there is some chatbots and things like that. And then the phase 3 would be pretty much automated agents, but with the surveillance of the humans. So an email came in, it's a very basic question, the agent goes in from the knowledge source, answers the question, but it's still, there is a human being trying to look after that. So, yeah. So let me give you an example of Barclays. What they did is that they gave the Copilot to pretty much all of their employees, and I know in Pakistan a lot of banks are doing that as well. The employees' productivity raised pretty much 40% year of year, and the customer service reviews were also much more better. Now, in terms of reinventing customer, you are able to provide the accurate and helpful answers based on the customer feedback that you have collected in the last previous years. You can assess, basically automate responses of common questions, as I mentioned, and also enable agents to quickly find and use most up-to-date information. Because the biggest challenge that the banks usually have is the misinformation. So once you have AI behind it, which is guiding you with the latest information that you have about banking and things like that and the customer, that would definitely improve the customer service. Because imagine if you're calling a bank and the teller already knows your history of your shopping and things like that. They are able to know that, okay, you bought a car, you want to now maybe looking for insurance and things like that. You are able to upsell it based on the customer behavior. So that is basically where AI comes in. Now, in terms of an example, same ABN AMRO, they created 2 chatbots to support the customer and employees. Again, 30% or to 40% of their tasks that every day people were calling in for basic information. I've lost my card, I've lost this, what should I do? Was already automated, and people were not calling for, like this. So their agents were able to do much more selling and focus on the customers to be able to do selling part, not just doing the basic things that can be automated. Now, reshaping business process. So what is happening in Europe is this, that I will give you my personal example. When I go into log into my bank, I'm getting a lot of offers which are tailor-made by the banks for me. And to be honest, 90% of the time, these are the ones which I really want to get, whether it is a small loan, whether it is a car, a new car, or a second car. How do they do that? So for example, I have a car, and sometimes I'm buying, let's say I'm renting, I'm doing taxi, calling taxi, I'm doing renting a car. The AI picks up the pattern, and it suggests that by the customer behavior, the family is in need of a second car. It goes straight away and says, we can give you 50% discount on your next car insurance, or the contracts, or the fees, and then makes me think, maybe I should actually buy a new car because the cost is pretty much the same. So this is basically reshaping the mind of the customer through AI, where you are able to predict their customer, their buying or their next buy like this. So that would definitely increase the upsell. Now, of course, the reduction of the losses and fraud is there. Let's move forward. I want to be on the time. Now, when we are building the AI processes and the AI-powered results, security is a very important aspect. So, in our part of the world, what we do is that, let's say, a lot of countries in Europe also does not have their own data centers. So what they do is this. The banks, the data stays in the local country, but they are building the bridge between their data and the platforms to be able to talk. So when we talk about personally identified data, we have to make sure that what we define as a personally identified data. So my name, my date of birth, where I'm living, my address, my phone number is a personally identified data. But what I'm buying, where I'm buying from, how much I'm buying from, and how much I'm spending is not a personally identified data as long as it's not tagged to me. So you are able to keep your data within the data center and stack the data that you want to send to the cloud, if you have a restriction of the cloud, to build analytics on top of that. And that gives you an unlimited sort of like access to the analytics on which you are able to build or reshape your business. To give you an example, we were talking with a bank that some of the bank branches are not making profits. So how it goes is like this, that you are able to do the analytics on in what branches, what people are spending what, and so on. Then you can even predict basically how much you are, which branches you should open in what location, based on the number of transactions, things like that. So I have 2 minutes. I want to get on to the use cases, what other people have done. So for Microsoft, the people who are using Microsoft technology, they know that the capabilities are there. It's a trusted platform. I don't want to sell anything here. I just want to talk more about the technology. But systems is one of the advanced specialized partners that we have, who's working a lot of proof of concepts with a lot of banks. I really encourage you to be able to get in touch with the guys. And if you are trying to explore AI, you should be able to do it. Microsoft supports it with the POC, with the funding, with the resources and things like that. So if you have an idea in your mind, you should be coming to the partner to be able to say, hey, I want to test it out, whether it is audit, machine learning or AI prediction, whether it is behavior, whether it is data, whatever, we should be, as Microsoft, should be able to fund it. Last but not least, these are basically the main use cases of very top banks in Europe and US for what they are using the Microsoft AI technology and third parties to be integrated within Microsoft platform. So one of the most important one that I like is basically the enhancing in-house legal search to basically automating credit approvals. So to wrap it up, if I want to get credit in Estonia, I don't need to go to a bank physically. I put in my details. I have a thing called a Smart ID. I log in. I go in, I put in how much credit I want to have. It goes through my credentials. It goes through how much money I'm making to how much money I should be. And without a human, I'm already given a loan. Apart from the house, I get credits from within like minutes. So let's say 1 minute to, 5 minutes, I get credits thanks to AI. So it evaluates based on my credit score, how much money does the bank is allowed to give me. And last but not least, I would say that you should be focused more on making the customer service faster and easier. If we do that, that would distinguish, because in Europe, the population is less compared to Pakistan. They are fighting for every single customer. So they are very eccentric about the customer service, but I believe it doesn't matter. As Pakistan banks, you should also be focused on giving to every single customer the feasibility and to be able to do things much more faster. My last slide, if I would be able to put it on. Can I? Wait. So, what is the next step? You have to explore use case per your industry and your organization and the people, let's say HR, finance, let them talk what their issues are. Schedule a conversation with your partner, say we want to explore this. Do a workshop, let us give you the strategy from Microsoft with the partner to be able to build it together, what you want to achieve. No idea is a bad idea in today's world. AI is growing fast. What we have right now is just the tip of the iceberg. Things are going to get much more better and faster and much more easier for customers, partners, and everyone. So I have my LinkedIn. You can add me through the QR code and ping me if you need anything. AI is the future, but we are the one who have to do it. It's not going to do it on our own. So the willingness to be able to give better customer service and better employee experience is the key to adopting AI. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Ali Adil. And now moving on, ladies and gentlemen, to the next session, which explores how global banking leaders are leveraging autonomous systems to anticipate customer needs, enhance personalization, prevent fraud, and orchestrate complex financial processes with human-like intelligence and judgment, redefining banking with agentic AI from automation to autonomous intelligence. Please welcome on stage CXO Advisor, Enterprise Technologist, AWS, Atif Salam.
Mic is working. Hi folks, Assalamu alaikum. I am Atif Salam and I will not repeat anything. Promise, right? I think we have quite a bit of stuff that we have gone over. I'm based in Washington, D.C. I am on a trip around the globe, so I stopped by Pakistan as well, did a personal trip to family, and very, very honored to be speaking with you. So, first of all, I just gave them this picture to add to the slide, and I wanted to bring it up. Somebody asked this question from the panel, how do you define a bank of the future? And I know we talk about DBS. DBS is an AWS customer, tremendous growth. Ayush has been a wonderful CEO. But I wanted to share this. Humayun mentioned that Brazil is his favorite country, so I brought up an example from Brazil. And when I think of a bank of the future, this is a bank of the future. Just look at this. From 2016 to 2023, they've gone from nothing, less than 1 million customers, to 99 million customers. And this is from the financial disclosure from 2024. I met with the CEO, their two co-founders, David Velez and Cristina Genquera. I met with them in Seattle 2 weeks ago, and they told me their number has gone up to 1.2 million customers now across Latin America and multiple countries. If you can do this, however you do it, whether you do it by mopping the floors, whether you do it by throwing rocks, who cares about AI? Who cares about technology? This is what your CEO wants to see. This kind of growth, right? Now, I'll share with you how New Bank achieved it. So New Brazilian, completely 100% online. They're opening up in Dubai as well. They're now white labeling their brand to actually grow. And they have ambition to grow to the largest bank in the world. That's their vision. They found that they could not achieve this scale without being on cloud. So anybody who says that being on cloud is any less secure than being on-prem, let's have conversation out there, right? We'll go out and we'll talk all day, all night tonight, right? And I'll have you name the largest banks in the world, whatever bank you come up with, and they are on cloud. Citibank, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, ABN AMRO. You heard from Ali just now. They're all on cloud. You cannot get this on-prem. No. You have to think about the scale. Second thing, they could not do this, and you should Google it. They could not do this without AI. And they used AI for everything, lead generation, having any customer. They had kind of this itch that if you're a customer and you have a checking account, why the heck you are not a multi-line customer? How do we make you multi-line customer? How do we sell you the savings account, right? They consider it like a personal insult if there is a customer who's still a checking account customer only, right? That you can do with AI, and that's what they did. You should read up on the details on how they did it. Third was fraud, and of course you heard from Faisal, you heard from many others today about fraud. Fraud is absolutely, especially for an online bank, number one concern, regulations, everything. And the problem with banks is that when you have this kind of a growth and so fast, your fear is not the known knowns. The SQL injection prompt. Who cares about SQL injection prompt? There are lots of rules-based IDSs, fault detection, right, or fraud detection tools. Your fear is not even the known unknowns, right? Your real fear is the unknown unknowns. A fraud attack that you have never seen before, the world has never seen before. Any of your cybersecurity tools won't be able to catch it, right? How do you do it? AI. So that unknown unknowns fraud detection, that was a big focus for them, and they did it with AI. So I wanted to splash this. And then when I talk about fraud detection and cyber attacks, who do you think in the world gets more cyber attacks and payment fraud in the world? Who would you think? The largest online retailer in the world. Who is that? Amazon. So we have 30 plus years of data that we use to model on fraud attacks. And we actually make it available to our customers. That's what they used, right? So that's how you train your model. But what I'm trying to tell you is AI cannot go to production because of regulation. We cannot move to cloud because of regulation. If that's your excuse to not have a vision to have this kind of a hockey stick projection for growth, then there is something lacking in your story when you go in front of the regulator. And all of these banks that I talked about, they're all in Germany and the US and Latin America and Japan, MUFG, Mitsubishi, Japanese biggest bank. I met with them a few weeks ago. They're all subject to very, very, very strict regulation. EU AI Act, there's nothing like it. They are still putting AI use cases in production. I take a little bit of difference from Javad from McKinsey when he was saying that there's zero beta Sonata. It's not zero beta Sonata. I'll show you their example. Their customer who started to put use cases in production. And you can have that conversation with regulator to move stuff. So this is me. Now going to my actual conversation. This is me. I am based, as I said, in DC. I generally work with board of directors and CEOs. One of the programs that we launched was to actually educate the people who block your AI use cases, who block your migration to cloud. Who are those people? Board of directors, right? It's very easy for them. They don't have to do any work, right? It's very easy for them. No, I'm not comfortable. Because they are risk averse by nature. So we actually have a program from top down, AWS leadership said, let's work with board of directors. So we go around the world, sit down with board of directors, and with some game simulation, educate them. So I run that program. If any of you want to have a board of director conversation, happy to bring that to you. My claim to fame was I led the largest securitization market in the world, $270 billion per day transaction. This is the largest in the world, even by far. The reason I'm saying this was done on AWS cloud. The second was, it's not the largest, but one of the largest servicing portfolio, $4.3 trillion book of business, right? Also on cloud. It was about 18, 19 million loans. So, and this is, I'm stealing from Jawad McKinsey, right? McKinsey is our partner. One of the things that you see, or just focus on the last bar, it says the total AI economic potential. We've been talking about AI, but what's really in it? Where is the money, right? Show us the money. So that's the money. McKinsey has projected, and so far we are on track to McKinsey's projection. I wish Jawad was here, that there will be 17 to 25 trillion dollar of GDP growth by 2030. What's world's total GDP today? Who knows? Anybody knows? It's $100 trillion, roughly $105 trillion. That's world's total GDP, the whole world. United States of America is $33 trillion. India, Brazil, UK, France are all between 2.5 and 3.5. That's it, $trillion. China is about $18 trillion. As I said, US is 33. This is saying that AI will have a GDP equivalent to almost US by 2030. My point is, this $18 trillion, we all here in Pakistan, we missed the 1990s internet boom. We missed it. Our neighbor, they capitalized on it big time, right? So if you have an iPhone, it's being manufactured there. We have an opportunity. Pakistan is 1/30th of the world population, 1/30th. We have an opportunity to claim 1/30th out of that $20 trillion. 1/30th. You know what that 1/30th would be? What's Pakistan's GDP? You are all bankers, guys. Pakistan's total GDP, I don't even live in Pakistan, it's $340 billion. India is $2.5 trillion. $340 billion is Pakistan's total GDP. If we get our share in this, which is equivalent to our population, which is how much India is going to get, they actually are going to exceed it, we know. China is going to get that, their share. We will make double our current GDP just with AI, just by utilizing AI. And we are afraid of regulation. Come on, guys. We got to be aggressive to claim our share in this part, in this heavy part. And this is an opportunity of lifetime. It's coming to us. Now let's talk about banking. How banking will do it. Agentic commerce. I won't repeat any of the concepts that you have talked about already. They've been covered by multiple speakers. But that's the opportunity that's out there. The only thing that I will say, come on, no more stats, folks, right? You know, I know you hate stats by now. What happened with this thing? Okay. All right. So I wanted to tell you that when you're talking to your folks who don't think about AI, give them something that they can touch and feel. Touch and feel. Has anyone used this? Ask if you have used it, right? You know what this is? In airports around the world, if you go to London's airport or France or anywhere in US, even in Tokyo, you will see this store. You walk in, you grab anything, you walk out. Don't have to pay. It will be charged to your Amazon Prime account. This is Amazon's Go store. They're everywhere in the US. This is AI. This is touch and feel AI, right? I've seen Pakistanis actually, or Desi brothers, right? They will just try to move things around and see whether it will catch or not, right? Will trip any signals. Come on, this clicker is bothering. The next one was, I wanted to share with you this. So we have autonomous taxis coming on. Has anyone sat in Waymo or Zoox so far? If you sit in one of these driverless taxis, you call them, they come like Uber, you sit in them, and oh my God, this is a surreal experience. Nobody driving and it's moving, right? And it drives like a teenager, very, very fast, and right? You see, in the F1 racing, the car that moves, every driver has 300 sensors on their crash suit, helmet, and the car. There are 1.3 million telemetry data points coming that people are using to do betting whether the driver will make a turn or not. And this, folks, Project Kuiper, you should have read the news, is coming to Pakistan, right? Hopefully it happens. Hopefully there's stability in Pakistan for the next few years, and this comes to Pakistan. The contract was signed with the government. That will be a big deal. You will have the kind of internet speed that you cannot even imagine today in every part of the country, even in the rural areas of the country. So what my last point is, and I will skip everything, is this. So when we started last year, each one of these icons is a YouTube video that you should go watch if you don't believe in AI. If you still question that AI is not for financial services or regulatory markets or regulated markets, each one of these, NASDAQ, Principal Financial, Bank United, Jefferies, New York Stock Exchange, they have these AI use cases running in production, right? Since 2023. We have now New York Life. I was very intimately involved in New York Life and S&P Global. These are production use cases, financial services use cases running in production, have passed through all the Federal Reserve regulation and any other regulation you can think of. So I'm going to be here, and I will stop here, but let's have conversations about what, can you go to the last slide, please? Last slide, very last slide, before thank you. I just want to leave you with this thought. Just go to the very last slide, please, with this thought. He was president of the US, Theodore Roosevelt. I love this quote. And every time I go have conversation about regulation, I bring this up. In a moment of decision, the best thing you can do is the right thing. The next best thing you can do is what? The wrong thing. The absolute worst thing you can do is to sit on your lazy asses and not do anything. So what does it mean? Doing something wrong is still better than doing nothing. Okay? So I'm going to leave you with this thought, and I'm going to be here for questions.
Thank you, Mr. Atif Islam. And now moving on to our final session for today. New opportunities are emerging for banks with clean strategies, robust technology foundations, and a healthy appetite to take more risk than their competition to maintain a competitive advantage in the AI-driven era. And to discuss banking in the AI era, I would like to call on stage FSS and Hybrid Cloud Services Leader from IBM, Mr. Harun Mohammad Sharif, to come on stage, please.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. I know it's been a long day and I'm the last speaker, so I won't take a lot of your time. And I promise, like Atif, that I will keep it very brief and not repeat anything. I'll just continue from what Atif just said, and I can't agree more, that this is the time for action. And this is the time when we need to take that risk in order to survive in this world, which is at an inflection point. All day long, you have heard stories about what the potential of AI is, both in terms of dollar value and what it can do for your business. And I'm not going to repeat that. But I just want to resonate with it, with this quote. I'll just be sharing some highlights from a study that IBM conducted globally, talking to about 2,000 CEOs and some of the highlights from there. And this particular part just stuck with me, right? So optimists are the ones who make money, right? And in order for you to make money is to find that differentiation point or inflection point in the industry where there's an information gap. And when you find that, you lean on that risk. That means that you double down on taking that risk in order to take that first mover's advantage and differentiate yourself from the industry. So this is a study, this is the 32nd year that IBM has been doing so. I will only be talking about a small cut of it, which is specifically for banking. So about 240 banking and financial market CEOs that we interviewed across the globe. And this also came out with the same result. 55% or more CEOs are double downing on taking more risk to maintain the strategic advantage, especially leveraging AI. But at the same time, they are also concerned about the regulatory changes that are happening and the market dynamics, which are also restricting the growth, which also resonates with what Atif was just talking about. But I'm going to share with you a path that will help you navigate these regulatory changes and still take advantage of this opportunity. Right. So what are the use cases? I'm not going to talk about all of them. You've heard a lot, and quite frankly, whenever we start a conversation with a client, typically that is the question. What are the use cases that we can do in the banking? One use case, two use case, here and there. And just to skip one slide and just to show you, I think that slide is not here in this one. Let me go back to this. So the top use cases are in where the CEOs think that there is going to be the maximum advantage that they can take out of AI is around fraud detection. And I think that's no surprise, most of the previous speakers also talked about. But it would be interesting to see the next two. The second one is obviously cybersecurity, and the third one is AML and KYC processes. So all of this is totally in 61% of the organization CEOs believe that these are the areas in banking which will have the biggest impact in terms of business value, leveraging AI. But at the same time, the challenges that they feel, which are going to restrict them, is also have been talked about, so there's not much left for me to say, but that is the skill gap that we have in the market. So I'll deep dive a little into that skill gap. So fraud detection, cybersecurity, KYC, these are the top three. These are the top investment areas from the banks, again, resonating with the same idea. So the skill gap is what, just before me, there was a panel in which one of the CIOs was talking about the role that he was trying to describe, but he didn't have a name for it, that we need more of those people and those roles in the organization in order for them to be able to take advantage of that. That is the validation role that you see. So 61% of the CEOs feel that what they need and the biggest gap is validation. Now, what is validation? Validation is not traditional testing of your AI models, whether they are performing or not. but also aligning it with the business objectives for which they were created in real world environment, whether they are actually meeting the needs or not, while they're meeting the standards of ethics and regulatory compliance that they operate in, right? So those validation skills need to be harnessed and developed within the organization. Now, those are not something that come right out of the university. So how do you do that? You need to cross-train people within the organization and give them exposure for multiple disciplines. So your risk scoring officer needs to be exposed on how AI is transforming their business function. Your data scientist needs to be trained and exposed to how risk management is done in different segments of the business in the banking. So this cross-training will allow the next breed of talent, which will allow you to fill this gap of validation. The next is risk control. I want to deep dive a little more into that. But these are generally the guardrails that you need in order to scale. A lot of speakers before us also talked about the impediments, and I think I don't want to repeat those things again, but these are the areas where AI has not been able to scale within the organization. So we have seen a lot of pilots. IBM current books on Gen AI and AI for the year 2025 stands around almost $10 billion just for Gen AI. And we've done thousands of POCs and several hundred projects which you can qualify AI working in scale. And the biggest challenge that we see is stress testing these models that we put in production for scale. And also having the ability to monitor the progress and performance of those models in real time. These are the top two areas which we felt were relevant in this particular time, where we've seen that most of the banks are claiming that they have done POCs, they are scaling it. And these are the challenges that we have seen in some of the developed markets where they're a little slightly ahead of the curve. I'll skip this. So real-time monitoring, while it is important, and this survey highlights that gap and validates that assumption as well. While it is important, only 25% of the organizations are actually applying something in terms of technology, in terms of framework, in terms of an effort to actually monitor these use cases as well. I'll give you an anecdote, from a bank in the region. I'll not name it, but when a few years back we did an AI-based fraud risk scoring work for them. It was a real-time AI model that performed, and when we handed it over to the organization, the accuracy of that model was around 87–88%, based on the data that we used to train and move. When we moved out after a few months, when we went back and had a conversation, we found out that model accuracy had dropped down to 50%. And that was not something that was found out by the bank, it was found out by us when we looked at that model. So many times in real-time scenario, in real-time cases, in actual world, what we have seen is that once something that you roll out in a bank or any other organization for that matter, over a period of time, people forget about what they did. In this particular case, we cannot afford to let these models, let these AI to run on its own. You need to constantly monitor them, understand the efficacy of them, and continuously evolve them with the new data sets and the new insights that the AI is sharing with you. I'll skip this as well. So at the end of the day, I just want to leave you with two areas that as a bank that you need to focus in order for you to navigate the regulatory compliance. IBM has a platform called Watson X. It's a brand name that you guys are all familiar with. It has a platform which is called watsonx.governance. It's a common platform that allows you to monitor AI regardless of which platform are you using, whether it's on Amazon, whether it's on Azure, whether it's on-prem, but you're able to see the entire lifecycle governance from its inception to its execution and monitor it in real time. So this platform will allow you to be able to navigate the regulatory compliance and challenges that you would have when you deploy AI at scale. So you don't have to be afraid, because if you want to harness the best of the breed, you would want to harness every technology platform. You want to bring out the best that Microsoft has to offer, or Amazon has to offer, or Google's of the world has to offer. But you want one platform to support your bank, to cut across all these platforms and monitor the performance of these AI models, and also to see the implications that it has in terms of ROI on your business value, and also to satisfy the regulators and internal auditors from an ethics and bias point of view as well. So with that, I'll beg leave, and thank you very much, and I hope that you have a great rest of the day. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to come to some very, very important awards, appreciations that we want to show to our partners. Very important people that are part of the success. And to give out these awards, I'd like to call upon stage Asif Peer, if he can join us on stage. Asif Akram Saab, if he can join us on stage. Amara Masood, if you can join us on stage. And of course, Mohammed Miraj as well, the GM, Pakistan Systems Limited, join us on stage so we can give out these awards. Thank you so much. And the first awards that we're giving out to, from IBM, Shaukat Khokar and Adnan Anjum, if they can join us on stage. And we can get some round of applauses because this is sort of the end of the program. I know everyone has been here. And Harun as well, if we can have Harun back on stage as well, please. Thank you, Harun. All our wonderful sponsors. Starting with IBM. We're waiting for others. Are they here? Harun is here. We're still going to take out the names. So Shaukat Khokar and Adnan Anjum, if they're still here, if they can join us on stage. Well, all right, let's move on. AWS Shehzad Khan, if we can have him on stage. From AWS, Shehzad Khan. Thank you so much. Atif as well from AWS. If you can join us, please. Thank you so much. Wonderful moment with all our wonderful sponsors. Thank you so much. And moving on. All right, let's move on to the next name. From Microsoft, can we have Irfan Awan and Ali Adil to join us on stage, please? Rushing to the stage. Thank you so much. Now moving on, from Temenos, Zareen Hartley and Ivan Van Bladel to join us on stage, please. And of course, could we also have the rest of the Temenos team as well if they're here? We'd love to have you all. Could we also have Ahmed Karam on stage as well, please? Shiraz, could we have Shiraz, Mr. Shiraz, if he's here, if you can join us? Thank you. Making sure everyone gets a moment of spotlight. Round of applause would be nice. Thank you. Wonderful. Now moving on. From Formpipe, could we have Mark Jenkins on stage, please? Mr. Mark Jenkins, if you're here, we would love to have you on stage with us from Formpipe. Mr. Mark Jenkins from Formpipe. All right, let's move on to the next name. From Dell and Avan Distribution, Naveed Siraj, Khurram Khan, and Uzair Ahmed. If you're here, please join us on stage. Wonderful, thank you so much. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we would like to invite everyone to please come towards the stage because we're about to do a grand group photo. तो हम चाहते हैं कि जितने लोग यहाँ मौजूद हैं, मुझे पता है आप लोगों ने हमारा पूरा दिन बड़ा साथ दिया है. हम चाहते हैं कि अगर आप स्टेज के करीब आ जाएं, तो हम एक grand photograph लेना चाहते हैं for the Bank of the Future Forum, so everyone gets a chance to shine in the spotlight. तो जितने लोग हैं, please stage के करीब आ जाइए. मैं जानता हूँ आप लोग काफ़ी थक गए होंगे. It's been a long day. And thank you so much for all your patience and all your support. Please come on stage, come in front of the stage. Let's take a grand photograph to celebrate the day. Thank you everybody for joining us for the Bank of the Future Forum. Now, from what I know from the team, I'm just going to look at Sakina. Are you there? Oh, there she is. Sakina. Thoda dhyan. Ladies and gentlemen, please enjoy lunch. I know you deserve it, and I hope you have a wonderful time networking and socializing. Crystal Ballroom mein lunch hai. Please enjoy yourself. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. Thank you.